With me now, Jonathan Gilliam, a former Navy SEAL who was also a special agent for the FBI. So, Jonathan, it looks like this guy came over in some lifeboat across the Mediterranean from North Africa and Tunisia, landed in Italy, and was in the continent for a long time, was even being watched, wasn't he?
Well, he even tried to burn a school down, or did burn a school down in Italy.
Yeah.
So this is the individual that took full advantage of this migration to come in. And as you can see, he does not mold well with a free society.
And he certainly does not.
Right. And so that's going to be the case with these migrants.
And he was coming across multiple borders, France, Germany, Italy. How does someone go undetected like that? Because I remember when I was traveling throughout those countries when I was just a young lad, it was tough getting across on the train. These guys with the big boots and the AKs come by and they, papers please. It's a serious deal. How'd the guy slip through the cracks? I
don't know if it's quite that serious now. I mean, the reality is these have become, where we have sanctuary cities like in New York, and we have illegals walking around here all over the place. These are sanctuary countries. And I really think that these socialistic, ultra-liberal leaders believe that it's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where you take somebody out of the inner city and bring them to Beverly Hills and there's not going to be any problems. Well, you can't take somebody or large groups of people out of the Middle East and expect them just to migrate and coexist. So they have created basically a terrorist dream to where they don't even have to work hard to get through the countries, which used to be the hardest part of the process of planning one of these operations, was getting people logistically in.
And they're gaming the system, too, because once he was here, he had about 6 or 7 different types of ID. They were trying to get rid of him or something like that, but he had all this fake paperwork, and that's why they couldn't get him. Doesn't this drive home the point you cannot vet these guys well if they're just going to lie to your face like that?
One, you can't vet people who live in a third world country. It's practically impossible. Secondly, the way the technology is that they have, these are not dumb people. You know, they have whole organizations that work to get these credentials for them. So they get these things, and they can just move openly through these countries to a point where the hardest part is now getting the credentials, not getting logistically into the place to do an operation.
Do you believe Europe is waking up to this? Because this is, what is this, a dozen attacks on the continent? I mean, Europe spilled a lot of blood the last century. Now it's these attacks on civilians you're seeing almost every couple of months now. You see it in Belgium, you see it in France and in Germany. Are they going to wake up and say enough is enough and institute some sort of crackdown on the border? Or what can they do, do you think? Because, I mean, they can get tough if they want to.
Sure. Look, Trump has set the example. You put warriors in place where warriors need to think about what needs to be done. If you only have academics and elitists telling people how to fight terrorism, you're never going to be able to win the fight. I mean, that's the case. You have to have a strategic plan how to defeat the enemy. They don't have that to begin with. They don't want to name the enemy. They don't have a strategic plan. And so academics have really tried to maneuver their special interest into this, and it's just not working.
I mean, France, vicious in Indochina back in the day, vicious in Africa. The Germans were pretty rough and tumble in South Africa. You know, the Italians just a few years ago were setting up black sites for President Bush to do some harsh interrogation on some of these al-Qaeda guys. They have it in them. They've had it in them in the past. I mean, how much blood has to be spilled?
Well, unfortunately, I think more blood is going to have to be spilled. The people are starting to see it. I think the Germans, people I talked to in Germany and Italy, they see it. But I can't understand. There's an easy solution for this. Get with the Middle Eastern countries, force them to put up safe havens, help them do it, and don't bring any more of these people out of the Middle East. They don't need to exist outside of their culture. Unless they want to.
Okay, so you're saying keep them in the Middle East.
Sure.
And it's not a Muslim ban, but set up safe zones in those communities so they don't come to the homeland.
Why do we have to take people out of their homes and give them another home when we could literally give them places to live over there? I mean, what's happening in West Virginia is a perfect example. They're bringing refugees to West Virginia. They're going to give them housing. Meanwhile, there's still people living in tents in West Virginia because the flood happened and there's people homeless there.
You're right. No, it's a recipe for disaster. I was just in West Virginia, and no one has anything. And, you know, people are coming over willy-nilly and they're getting handouts. One of the reasons Trump won, people see it's a rigged system and it's just unfair. I think Islam has a problem here because the people that are obeying the laws, the wealthy people in these Muslim communities that want to go to Europe, they want to travel to America, and they want to work hard, they're going to get screwed over because these radicals are making it so difficult for people in their countries to do business internationally and travel internationally.
Right.
They have to fix their own house, get their own house in order, or else they're going to start paying the price. They're not going to be able to go anywhere.
Jesse, I've been saying this since I left the Bureau a little over 3.5 years ago. Islam is the biggest solution for the problems in Islam. If they don't fix their problems, then they're going to be part of the problem. And Muslims need to realize that. They need to look at the fact that there's Muslims that can coexist. There's Islamists that are fundamentalists that do not want to coexist. And then out of those Islamists come jihadists. They have the problem. They need to fix it. And if they're not going to, then they need to step out of the way and let warriors fix it, because that's what's going to end up happening.
You're exactly right, Jonathan. Thank you very much.
You got it.